guys, it is cold right now. It is raining, it is gloomy, and I have a nice cup of tea. I'm in my pajamas, and let's get this video started. Okay? Yeah. As you can tell from the title of this video, I will be talking about Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. I've just literally finished this book maybe 2 hours ago. I wrote a review of it already for my blog. You can check it down in the link below. I just wanted to make a video about this book because Maggie Stiefvater's writing has a very special place in my heart. It is one of the two series that really got me back into reading for fun. I just got burnt out by school in high school, and I just wasn't really picking up books to read other than, you know, mandatory required reading or stuff that we had to do for free time, stuff like that. So I didn't really pick up books that I was thoroughly enjoying, and I wasn't really reading actively until I picked up the Raven Cycle, and when I picked up Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I really love those two series. So Raven Cycle is one of two well-known series that Maggie Stiefvater wrote. Announced this series, the Dreamer trilogy centered on Ronan. I was so ecstatic. I wasn't the biggest fan of Adam, but I think this book really made me like him a little bit more. I still loved Ronan. I loved Gansey and Blue from the previous series. So I was really excited to see what more is in store. Because the first series of the Raven Boys, and it had so much to it, I was blown away by the imagination that Maggie had. So I was really excited to see what she has for Ronan. Of course, my expectations were met, and it even went beyond my expectations, actually. I give this a solid 4.5 or 5 out of 5, kind of in between, because there are some things that I, you know, have a little problem with, at least with the writing. However, in general, I still think Maggie's prose is one of the best. I want to say Laini Taylor and Maggie Stiefvater both have one of the most fantasy, imaginative, and beautiful style of writing. Now, I know some people may disagree with me on that, but I have a close friend that disagrees with me on that. But I do have to say, nothing really comes close to the imagination that she has, at least for her world building and her characters. Each and every character is so different, so unique. They are their own person. They have their own flaws, weaknesses, their strengths, and I could see them as people just walking down the street, having their own stories that need to be told, but they're keeping it secret because they have to. I don't want to spoil too much of this novel, of this book, because it's something magical that you have to explain why I love Maggie Stiefvater's writing. I think she's just a genius when it comes to making sentences and evoking feelings and sensations and emotions using very unconventional ways. Let me read this part. On page 256 on the paperback, Jordan thought about how she would capture the line of the property manager's heavy-lidded eyes, how they never opened all the way, how that weight was signaled by the skin between her eyebrows, tugged by the long-time burden of staying awake. Her painter's mind cataloged the color gradient between her subtle dye job and her lighter roots. Her fingers twitched by her side, already blocking out the negative space behind the manager's profile. This whole book is littered with that kind of description, that very she gives you, sometimes she'll be very concrete, but other times she's more abstract, and it gives you more insight, not into what's going on straightforwardly, but what's going on in a character's emotional state or what their thoughts are. And I truly appreciate that, because there are some authors, I don't want to throw them under the bus, but I'm gonna do it. Marissa Mayer or even Sarah J. Moss. I can never say that right. And of course Cassandra Clare. They just plain out will write what the characters are doing, and it's like I appreciate authors who make the readers kind of work for it, or don't treat the readers as if they're not reading into it and they're not thinking, because it's better to show than tell. And I know that's kind of weird for like me to say for a book that has words on it that's supposed to be telling you things, but you can describe things that are happening without having to say point blank, character A does this and feels this. That's, yeah. I just recently finished reading Renegades by Marissa Mayer, and I'm half like, I kind of want to continue the series because I want to know what's going on. I don't care about any of the characters except for Nova. And even then, I heard she doesn't really improve as a character in the second book. I'm sorry, that was a side throwaway comment. But point is, Maggie Stiefvater doesn't treat you like you're dumb. She does it beautifully. She's subtle about it. And it's done great. I love it. I love this book. So let's talk a little bit about the characters and the relationships. This will be the part 2 of the video. I don't want to go on for too long because I don't want to edit that much, but I do want to talk about Declan Lynch and his growing relationship with Jordan, who is a dream copy of Jordan Hennessy. So Jordan Hennessy is the original dreamer, but she dreamt many copies of herself. And her oldest copy is Jordan. So the original dreamer kept her last name, and she gave Jordan to her copy, who is basically her sister at this point. Jordan and Declan kind of have this really good chemistry going on. It's not explicitly romantic, but it is very like, hey, these two people really vibe together that very well. I really think it's one of the most intriguing characters actually in this book is Jordan, because she has so much hope that Hennessy, I feel like, lacks. It might be because her hope all got into Jordan and she was left with none of it herself, but that's a little bit reading too much into this book that I don't want to do for this video, but one of my theories. Declan and Jordan kind of have this chemistry, this dynamic that both really want to open up to others and get hope, but they don't want to feel like they don't want to be burned. It's kind of more complex than that, but I do think it was one of the highlights of this novel is Declan and Jordan's budding romance relationship, whatever. Now, Ronan and Hennessy, they're kind of another, like, unexpected duo. They are becoming fast, not friends per se, but Ronan's there to help Hennessy take control over her dreams. And Hennessy has never really asked for help ever in her life. And this is the first time that she's ever done it. And she trusts Ronan, and Ronan is definitely a really good person. He wants to help as best as he can, and he's glad that he's not the only dreamer that he knows anymore. Now, I do want to say Adam is not featured that heavily in this novel. I think that his role will get a little bit bigger in the sequel because they kind of hint at it in the end of this book. Ronan and Adam are still going very, very strong. They love each other. It's beautiful. And I want to shout out to Maggie Stiefvater for doing this, because in a lot of like books centered around gay characters, both of them die, or something happens, they break up. And that isn't the case in this novel. You just have this relationship between two people who have been through so much, but they love each other at the same time. They're not 100% compatible, but not a lot of couples in the real world are. So I'm glad that Maggie didn't break them up or do anything like that, because it would have been devastating and I would have hated it. I do think that Adam will get a bigger role though, because he only showed up maybe a few times in this novel compared to like everything that was happening, because it was like, whoa, what's going on. But towards the second half of the novel, he doesn't really show up except for like one time. So, you know, hopefully we get into that a little bit more, what's going on with him, what's going to happen with him and Ronan. I hope they do stay together at the very end of this trilogy. I don't think Maggie would do anything to break them up, low-key. Maybe temporarily, but I don't think she would do that to the readers, because she understands like how important it is to have a gay couple that stays canon and stays together in such a prolific and high-profile series like this. My review for this book is kind of like all over the place. I just want to say this book is great. I'm extremely biased when it comes to this author and comes to this series. Extremely biased. But even without all my biases, I read it, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's a good read. It's like a, you know, you want something that makes you think a little bit and is beautifully written, takes you to another world, even though it is set in the real world. So, you know, if you want to give this book a try, I highly, highly recommend it. It's beautiful. That's all I have to say. Okay, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I can make more sense of this later on in editing. Oh my god. But as I'm filming this is all I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. Again, please click like, subscribe, comment if you guys want, and I will hopefully keep posting more on a very normal schedule. But I'm busy. Bye!